Hi everyone, it's another embroidery session. If you watch my previous embroidery videos, probably you have seen that I started doing embroidery on this mesh fabric, which is quite a long piece of fabric. This is what I have done so far. I did some wheel rows and some French knots. So today's session 3, I'm going to continue doing a little bit more embroidery. But before we start, I just wanted to show you something else. It's another embroidery that I did a while ago. So that's just a casual pant. And I did some lazy daisy stitches on this. These are called lazy daisy. I'm not sure why lazy daisy, but maybe because they are so simple, especially for beginners. And some French knots in the middle. Very simple, but full of joy when you create something, and just gives you a sense of satisfaction that you turn something which is plain into a kind of more aesthetic type of fabric. So it's not, of course, a professional embroidery. It was one of the first things that I did many months ago, but I'm quite happy with it, just as someone who is a beginner in embroidery. So that's just something that I wanted to show you. And now let's do some embroidery. So that was it. Here is what I did in session 3. So I added a few more wheel rows and a couple of French knots. It's progressing slowly but surely. This type of stitches are very simple for beginners. That's why I have chosen them. So wheel rows and French knots and some lazy daisy stitches, which are very simple and quite aesthetic. And these are exactly the same as these stitches that I showed you at the start of the video. As always, I would love to hear about your experiences. Feel free to share in the comment section if you have experienced any type of handmade embroidery, or if you are interested to see more videos of this. Thank you and see you in the next video. Bye.